Welcome to the Board Business Channel. Get ready, because today we're talking about a company that's about to get a lot more interesting. Integrated Service Technology, iST for short.
Yeah, you might not know them yet, but they're huge in the semiconductor world, especially as part of, you guessed it, TSMC's supply chain.
TSMC. Like queen bee of chips. And TSMC is only getting bigger, which means iST is about to blow up.
Definitely. And what's crazy is iST started as just a tiny 5-person lab back in 1994.
Wow.
And now they're this global powerhouse in semiconductor verification and analysis.
Okay, wait, back up. We all love our gadgets, right?
Yeah.
Phones, laptops, that fancy toaster that burns your bagels.
Oh, yeah.
But how do we know those tiny computer chips inside are actually going to work and not, like, burst into flames?
That's where iST comes in. They're the quality control experts, making sure your tech doesn't go haywire.
So they're like the chip whisperers.
Kind of. They don't just test chips, they solve problems.
I see.
Their IC Circuit Modification Service, or FIB, completely changed the game. Yeah. It stands for something complicated, but basically they can actually debug and analyze a chip directly, even making microscopic modifications.
Whoa, microscopic. Like, how?
It's like surgery for electronics. This precision and speed helps their clients launch new products quickly and confidently.
Makes sense. No one wants a glitchy phone.
Hmm.
So they don't just find problems, they actually fix them.
You got it.
That's got to be a huge relief for companies, especially when everyone's trying to get the latest and greatest tech out there.
Absolutely. And the services they offer, it's like a whole spa menu for chips. They do reliability analysis, which means they basically torture those chips to make sure they can handle real-world conditions.
Torture.
Think extreme temperatures, vibrations, the works.
Like those videos where they drop phones from crazy heights to test them?
Exactly. Except way more scientific.
I bet.
They also have this service called MOSFET Wafer Backend Process Integration.
Hold on, MOSFET. Is that like a tiny robot chef making pancakes in my phone?
Haha, sort of. Imagine tiny gates in your phone's processor that control electricity flow.
Okay.
iST makes sure those gates work efficiently.
Which means
Longer battery life.
that's something I can get behind. No more searching for a charger every 5 minutes.
And get this, iST isn't just stuck in the past. They're always evolving with new tech trends.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Like 5G, AI, Internet of Things, even space technology.
Space tech. They're testing chips for rockets and stuff.
They are.
That's so cool.
It is. But wait, how do we know we can actually trust their results? I mean, what's stopping companies from just saying, yep, our chips are perfect, even if they're not?
Good point.
Well, iST is an independent third-party lab with tons of certifications like IEC, IDCQ, TUV Nord.
So they're like the unbiased judges of the chip world. No funny business.
Exactly. That builds trust with clients and makes sure our devices are actually reliable.
That's reassuring. Okay, let's get back to TSMC, because that connection is huge. TSMC is investing a ton in 2 millimeter chips, right? And that crazy advanced packaging tech they call CoWoS.
Yep. CoWoS is like building a superhighway for information inside a chip.
Wow.
It allows for incredible performance, but it's also super complex.
I bet. So who does TSMC trust to analyze and test all that?
You guessed it, iST. They're basically besties working together to make sure these cutting-edge technologies actually work.
It's like a match made in silicon heaven.
Right. And analysts are predicting a huge surge in iST's revenue because of this partnership. Talk about growth potential.
Okay, so iST is clearly killing it in Taiwan.
Right.
But they're not just staying there, right? They're expanding globally.
Oh, yeah. They're already in China, Japan, and the U.S.
Wow. So they're serving clients all over the world.
They are. Their global reach is really impressive.
World domination, here they come.
Haha, pretty much.
You know, this reminds me of our friend Steve,
Oh, yeah.
the executive director of the Arizona Taiwan office. He seems to think iST has a bright future ahead in Arizona.
It makes sense. With their global strategy and Arizona's booming tech scene, it wouldn't be surprising to see them make a big splash there.
Something to keep an eye on for sure. For our listeners, this is just a taste of what iST is all about.
Right.
This company's the force behind so much of the tech we use every day.
They're the silent heroes, making sure our digital world actually works.
So iST has come a long way from that little 5-person lab.
Oh, yeah.
How do they go from zero to hero in the chip world?
Well, they had a knack for seeing what the industry needed and then, like, jumping on those opportunities.
Like with that FIB service.
Exactly. That was a total game changer back then.
It's like they had a crystal ball and saw the future of testing.
Maybe.
And they haven't slowed down since.
Nope. They're constantly learning, growing, changing.
Okay, so back to TSMC. You mentioned they're like a power couple.
Oh, yeah. Big time. TSMC pushes the limits of what's possible with chips, and iST is right there making sure it all works.
It's like TSMC says, hey, we want to fit 1 million transistors on a chip the size of a grain of rice.
Right.
And iST is like, hold my coffee, we got this.
Exactly. And as those chips get smaller and more complex, the margin for error is like 0.
I can imagine.
One tiny mistake and the whole chip is useless.
So iST is like the safety net for all this mind-blowing technology.
Absolutely. They give TSMC that certainty they need to keep innovating.
That's so important. And speaking of innovation, what about AI? Those chips are getting pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah. And iST is playing a huge role there, too.
I mean, we're talking chips that can compose music and predict the stock market.
Right. But someone has to make sure they actually work as advertised.
That's where iST steps in.
Exactly. They're the ones bridging the gap between those amazing ideas and a product that actually works in the real world.
So they're kind of like the unsung heroes of the tech world, making sure our gadgets actually do what they're supposed to.
Definitely.
Okay, but iST isn't just a Taiwan story anymore, right? They're going global.
Oh, yeah. Big time. They're already in China, Japan, the U.S. It's like they're on a world tour.
Taking their chip expertise everywhere.
Yep. And they're not just setting up shop in new places. They're tapping into local talent pools, working with universities, research institutions. It keeps them at the forefront of innovation.
Makes sense.
And helps them adapt to the ever-changing tech landscape.
They're basically building a global brain trust for semiconductors.
I like that. A global brain trust.
They're creating this really cool company culture where everyone feels like they can contribute.
Definitely.
It's like a giant playground for tech geniuses.
That's a great way to put it.
So we know iST works with giants like TSMC.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about startups? Can they afford to work with iST?
That's a great question. And the answer is yes. iST isn't just for the big players. They work with companies of all sizes.
Really?
Yeah. They bring the same expertise and attention to detail, no matter the budget.
So it's like having access to a world-class mentor, even if you're just starting out.
Exactly. And for startups, that can be game-changing.
I bet.
It helps them get their products to market faster and with more confidence.
So iST is like a fairy godmother for tech startups.
Haha, kind of. They're there to help them succeed.
It's so cool that they're not just focused on the big companies.
Definitely. They're committed to supporting innovation at every level.
It's amazing to see a company so dedicated to pushing the entire industry forward.
I agree. They're truly a special company.
So what about those global expansion plans? What are they up to?
Well, they're already in a bunch of countries, but they're not stopping there.
Oh, yeah. What else?
They're constantly looking for new opportunities, new partnerships, new ways to share their expertise.
It's like they're playing a global game of chess.
Yeah. Always thinking a few steps ahead.
So they're not just about testing anymore.
Nope. They're becoming a true global leader in the semiconductor space.
It's inspiring to see a company that started so small achieve so much.
It is, and they're a great example of what's possible with hard work, innovation, and a little bit of vision.
And a passion for tech.
Definitely. They're clearly passionate about what they do.
Okay, so before we wrap up, I have to ask about Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
Remember our friend Steve, the executive director of the Arizona Taiwan office? He seems pretty optimistic about iST's future there.
Yeah, he thinks they have a lot of potential in Arizona.
It makes sense with TSMC building their big facility there.
Right, and iST already has a presence in the U.S.
So it seems like a natural fit.
Definitely something to watch.
Okay. Any last thoughts on iST before we move on?
Well, they're a company that everyone should keep an eye on.
I agree.
They're quietly shaping the future of technology.
And their story is one of innovation, dedication, and a genuine passion for making the world a better place.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So we've talked a lot about iST, their services, their global reach, but we haven't really touched on the actual technology they're testing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, some of this stuff is crazy advanced. AI chips, space technology, it's mind-blowing. It makes you wonder who's making sure this powerful technology is used responsibly.
That's a great question. It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
For sure. Is it up to the companies developing the tech, governments, or do companies like iST, who are testing and validating all this, have a responsibility too?
That's a tough one. But it's something we should all be thinking about. The more advanced technology gets, the higher the stakes.
No doubt. We can't just blindly embrace every new gadget. without considering the potential downsides.
Exactly. And I think companies like iST, with their commitment to quality and ethics, can play a big role in making sure technology is used for good.
Fingers crossed. Because the future's looking pretty wild,
Yeah.
and we need all the responsible techies we can get.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's some food for thought.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of iST. They're truly a fascinating company.
Definitely. It's been great exploring their journey.
And for our listeners in Arizona, keep an eye out. It's definitely a story worth following. And that's it for today's show. We'll see you next time on the Board Business Channel for more insights into the companies shaping our world.
Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.
See you next time.